Eala figures in battle of history-making Southeast Asians versus Janice Tjen. Eala tangles with another history-making Southeast Asian as she shoots for a Final Four berth in the Sao Paulo Open in Brazil. Seeded third, Eala faces Indonesia's Janice Tjen in the quarterfinals of the WTA 250 event at the Villalobos State Park on Friday, September 12th, Saturday, September 13th, Manila time. Their clash comes weeks after the two pulled off landmark wins in the U.S. Open in New York, where they ended long Grand Slam droughts for their respective countries. Eala became the first Filipino to win a major main draw match in the Open era when she stunned Denmark's Clara Tauson in the opening round, while Tjen earned the first Grand Slam win by an Indonesian in 22 years following her upset of Russia's Veronika Kudermetova. "I'm so happy to see the progress of tennis in Southeast Asia in general," Eala said back in August. "I've known Tjen for a long time, so I'm happy for her. I'm happy that players from this region are coming up and starting to be successful." Although they both exited in the second round, with Eala losing to Cristina Buxer of Spain and Tjen falling prey to former U.S. Open champion Emma Raducanu of Great Britain, they continue to make waves on the global stage. Eala, who is currently the highest-ranked Southeast Asian in the world at number 61, captured her first-ever WTA Challenger crown by ruling the Guadalajara Open in Mexico just days ago. The 20-year-old Filipina rides on a 7-match winning streak as she beat France's Yasmin Mansouri and Argentina's Julia Riera in the first 2 rounds of the SP Open. Meanwhile, the 23-year-old Tjen became the first Indonesian to reach a WTA quarterfinal after making short work of Slovakia's Martina Okolova to arrange a duel with Eala. Improving 19 spots in the latest world rankings released last Monday, September 8th, Tjen rose to a career-high number 130. The winner between Eala and Tjen will go up against either 2nd seed Solana Sierra of Argentina or 6th seed Francesca Jones of Great Britain in the semifinals. In the world of tennis, the spotlight often points to the usual names: the Americans, the Europeans, perhaps the Australians. Rarer are the narratives from places where tennis is not the national pastime, where sun, rain, commuting on crowded roads, limited facilities, fewer role models, and scarce international exposure make every practice session an act of resistance. Into that terrain come Alexandra Eala from the Philippines and Janice Tjen from Indonesia. Two young players, both born in the early 2000s, Alex in 2005, Janice in 2002. Both making strides not just for themselves but for their countries, for Southeast Asia, for all the young ones who'll watch their matches and think, maybe I can do that too. The stage: U.S. Open 2025, a shared triumph. The 2025 U.S. Open becomes their shared moment. On the same day, separate courts, separate matches, both wrote their names into history. Eala achieved something no Filipino had in the Open era. She won a Grand Slam singles main draw match, defeating 14th seed Clara Tauson in a dramatic first-round upset. She came back from 5-1 down in the deciding set, eventually winning in a tiebreak. Tjen, similarly, stunned the 24th seed Veronika Kudermetova, becoming the first Indonesian in 22 years to win a major main draw match. These are not just wins. They are milestones, beacons, the battle of histories, identity and expectation. When you look at their paths, what emerges is not rivalry in the traditional sense but parallel currents, pulling each upward with similar weight. If one imagines this as a battle, it's internal, cultural, national, psychological, not merely between players. Carrying the weight of a nation's firsts. Eala is carrying the hopes of a country long starved for Grand Slam glory. The Philippines had yet to see a woman triumph in a major main draw match in the professional era. Alex's win was not just a personal breakthrough, it was a rewriting of Filipino tennis history. Tjen carries a similar weight for Indonesia. Her win ended a 22-year dry spell for her country at the majors. She became a connective thread between past hopes, past champions, and a future that now looks brighter. Battling hard moments. For Eala, there was the match against Tauson. Trailing 5-1 in the deciding set is the kind of position most players lose from. To claw back, to force the tiebreak, to win. It speaks not only of physical skill or technique but of mental resilience, urgency, belief. Tjen's path from qualifying rounds, then taking on a seeded player, fighting through expectation and external doubt, shows a similar inner toughness. She stepped into a big match moment and delivered. Shared hope, shared region. Perhaps what makes their stories interlinked is not competition between them, but mutual inspiration. When Eala said after her when she was proud to see progress of tennis in Southeast Asia in general and happy for Tjen, she was recognizing that their successes are not separate, they feed off each other. The idea is no longer that a Southeast Asian player might win a big match. Now there are two who have, in the same tournament. That changes the psychology, not just for them, but for young players back home. More than just a match, what their moments mean. These victories are symbols. They are loud statements. But there's more underneath. Representation matters. Seeing someone who looks like you, from where you come from, doing these things creates possibility. If you're a young Indonesian kid watching Janice Tjen, or a Filipino teenager seeing Eala on the big stage, you don't have to imagine that distance in them all. Systemic gaps, rising above them, both come from places without the deep resources of tennis powerhouses. Coaching, facilities, competition, exposure. All these often favor those from richer tennis nations. Their wins show that the gaps are real but not insurmountable. Pressure, expectation, narrative. Once you create history, suddenly there's a bigger spotlight. Expectations mount. Not just win one match, but be the next big thing. Eala and Tjen both have to balance being players with being symbols. That is a burden and a privilege. The art of comebacks, the magic of upsets. A theme that binds their stories is that they both upset seeded players. Eala's comeback from 5-1 down. Tjen's battle through qualifiers, both facing higher-ranked, more established names. The match becomes a crucible, a stage not just to show skill, but to show heart. Upsets are more than surprises. They are where all the layers come together. Preparation, confidence, tactical intelligence, mental toughness. Eala's win had to come from somewhere deep. The moment she almost lost, the tiebreak that seemed endless. In every point, the match was teaching, testing, refining. Tjen's win, too, demands respecting the small moments. Every break, every serve, every chance taken. What's next, and what it signals. As of after the US Open, Eala went on to reach the second round. Tjen also advanced to the second round. But even more importantly, the moment signals that Southeast Asia is no longer a silent periphery in tennis. It is producing its own stories, its own historic firsts, its own inspiring arcs. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like and share. Till next time.